In every age, spirituality risks corruption not from hostility, but from trivialization. The danger is not persecution, it is performance. When spirituality becomes public discourse, it often becomes unspiritual, inauthentic, alienated from direct experience, transformed into spectacle, stripped of penance, emptied of gravity, and severed from sacrifice. What once demanded inward transformation becomes indistinguishable from entertainment, a vacation for the self rather than a confrontation with it. Spirituality at its core is not information but transformation. It is not primarily speech but experience. Its authority comes not from articulation but from interior change. Yet public discourse operates by different rules. It rewards visibility, coherence, emotional appeal, and audience reception. The inward becomes outward, the silent becomes declarative, the hidden struggle becomes consumable narrative. This shift creates alienation. Direct experience, the quiet confrontation with oneself, the disciplined reshaping of desire, the surrender of ego, cannot easily survive translation into spectacle. Once spiritual life is narrated for an audience, it risks becoming performance. The axis subtly shifts from truth to reception. The question becomes not, am I transformed, but am I convincing? In this movement, spirituality detaches from its existential ground and floats into rhetoric. Historically, authentic spiritual traditions have required gravity, not gloom, but seriousness, not theatrical suffering, but sacrifice. Whether in ascetic practice, ethical discipline, or radical inward honesty, spirituality has demanded cost. It requires the relinquishment of comfort, pride, illusion, and self-deception. Without sacrifice, spirituality becomes mood management. The modern public sphere, however, resists gravity. It prefers accessibility, inspiration, and uplift. Spiritual language is adapted to fit these preferences. Penance becomes self-care. Discipline becomes routine. Renunciation becomes minimalism. The vocabulary remains, but the weight disappears. Spirituality becomes aesthetically pleasing rather than existentially demanding. In this transformation, spirituality becomes entertainment. It becomes something one attends rather than undergoes. It becomes an event rather than a restructuring of being. Like a night out or a retreat weekend, it offers atmosphere, stimulation, perhaps even emotional catharsis, but no enduring reorientation of life. It is scheduled, consumed, and left behind. The spectacle of spirituality intensifies this problem. Public platforms incentivize visibility. The more spirituality is displayed, the more it risks becoming identity. Identity seeks reinforcement, not dissolution. Yet many spiritual traditions have insisted that ego dissolution, not ego expression, is the path to transcendence. When spirituality becomes branding, it ceases to threaten the self and instead stabilizes it. This is not an argument against public teaching or communal practice. Communities have always gathered. Teachers have always spoken. But authentic discourse once pointed beyond itself toward lived transformation. Today, discourse often replaces transformation. To talk about depth becomes a substitute for entering it. The loss of penance is especially telling. Penance is not self-punishment. It is acknowledgement of insufficiency. It is the recognition that one must change. Public spirituality, by contrast, frequently affirms rather than confronts. It comforts rather than destabilizes. It reassures individuals of their existing worth without demanding their reformation. In doing so, it removes the very friction through which spiritual growth occurs. When gravity is misunderstood or rejected, spirituality becomes weightless, and what is weightless cannot anchor a life. It becomes sentiment, aesthetic preference, lifestyle enhancement. It ceases to be a matter of being and becomes a matter of taste. Authentic spirituality is not hostile to joy, celebration, or community, but its joy emerges from transformation, not distraction. Its celebration is grounded in sacrifice, not avoidance. Its community is formed through shared discipline, not shared consumption. Public discourse on spirituality becomes unspiritual when it severs itself from cost. When it eliminates sacrifice, removes penance, avoids inward struggle, and reconfigures transcendence as experience shopping, it ceases to be spiritual in any serious sense. It becomes a product. What requires transformation cannot survive as performance. What demands gravity cannot endure as spectacle, and what calls for sacrifice cannot be preserved as entertainment. Spirituality, if it is to remain spiritual, must resist becoming a show.